You're listening to The White Rabbit, conversations on the art of presenting in a rather noisy world. Your hosts are Matt Krause and Alper Rosales. Matt helps leaders of international companies speak, write, and present with confidence. Alper is a communications trainer and a startup investor with a diverse portfolio of companies in Barcelona. If you like this podcast, please share it with friends and colleagues. Now, on to Matt and Alper for today's conversation. Matt, do you remember how in one of the previous episodes you mentioned that it doesn't take more than 30 seconds before I mention Toastmasters to people that I meet for the first time? Well, I was thinking of that the other day. It's not 30 seconds anymore. Sometimes Toastmasters doesn't even come up, but it came up a couple of days ago in a social environment. And of course,
even though you're trying to avoid the subject, Toastmasters
Yeah.
is coming up right now. So yeah, Alper, whenever he opens his mouth, Toastmasters is going to come out.
Yeah.
So what's on your mind?
So I got into that free marketing for Toastmasters mode, and I started talking about it. And of course, in the group were a couple of people with, I think they were some, not senior managers, but mid-level managers who said, yeah, well, I don't need public speaking skills. I don't need to be a good communicator. I'm already good where I am. I feel comfortable where I am.
Yeah.
And then we talked about the technical skills, managerial skills, etc., etc. And that got me to thinking, at the risk of sounding a complete, let's not turn this podcast into explicit, but
Yeah.
at the risk of sounding a complete idiot, let's say.
There you go. There you go. That word won't get us an explicit.
Yeah. At the risk of making a complete fool out of myself, I thought, hey, either you have your head misplaced in your body, it's up somewhere where it shouldn't be, or you're completely delusional, because this is something that everybody would need.
Yeah.
Of course, I didn't say this. I thought about it, but I didn't say this. But then I got to thinking, what if the guy had a point? What if actually you have such a good level of technical skills or knowledge in the company that you work for, and you don't need good communication skills or presentation skills or whatever?
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Well, by the way, you were struggling with the phrase, to put your head in a
Where it doesn't belong,
non-explicit sort of way. So a phrase that you could use for that is, let's see, you could say to stick your head where the sun don't shine. Have you heard of that phrase before?
I heard about that. Yeah. I heard about that. It wasn't in my vocabulary, but yes.
Yeah, that one won't get us an explicit. Stick your head where the sun don't shine.
Okay. So we're doing a public service by showing the non-explicit versions of normal explicit phrases. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So anyway, so presentation skills for technical people is kind of the subject, and the resistance of, well, my technical skills are great. Who needs presentation skills? Is that what you're thinking? Okay.
Yeah. Let me put myself in his shoes and say the same, throw the same to you. Well, I'm really good at what I do. I have all the technical skills and the knowledge. So who cares if I communicate well or not?
The question that I would ask that person would be, in 5 years, in 10 years, do you want to have the exact same job that you have today? Are you done advancing in your career? Are you finished?
No, I'm not. I'm just going to keep getting promoted, because I will have earned skills and expertise and corporate knowledge and corporate memory. I will accumulate all those things. And when the time comes, let's say for my boss's boss to retire, he or she is going to take the vacancy, and then I'm going to take his or her position.
That's not going to happen.
Why not?
It's not going to happen because there are a couple stages in a person's career, and one is the gaining the technical skills. And I typically, in my experience, the gaining of technical skills kind of peaks at 32 years old, and maybe in some industries or with some people it goes on until the age of 35. But then after that, then in order to get that position of your boss's boss, or your boss even, in order to get that position, you need some communication skills, and technical skills don't do the job anymore.
Why not?
Technical skills don't do the job anymore because when people start out in their careers, they spend the first 10 years gaining the technical skills. So the company has a lot of people that are gaining technical skills. There's a huge pool of people that are gaining the technical skills. And maybe they don't have as many technical skills as you do, but in 5 years, they are going to have as many technical skills as you do. Maybe they're a few years younger than you are, and they'll put in a few more years of work and they'll gain the technical skills. So a company has a very large pool of people with technical skills to choose from.
Do you think this would apply to all industries? For example, in order let's put some more meat into the argument. Let's say
Mhm.
I am an engineer and I'm working at a construction company and we build bridges.
Okay.
So the company cannot exist without me,
Mm.
without my knowledge, without my technical expertise.
Yeah.
And we keep building bridges. So do you think it would apply for all industries, or are there some industries who are immune to your argument?
I think that this I think that this applies to pretty much all industries, not all industries equally, but it applies to all industries. And maybe the technical skills for an engineering company that builds a bridge, there will be some advancement paths open to people who just have a lot of experience
Hmm.
and they're very heavy on the technical skills and they're not particularly the good communicators. They can still advance. So you might be, say, 50, 55, 60 years old, and you might have the technical skills that no 35-year-old could ever get. So you might definitely be able to build that bridge. The thing is
Hmm.
that those paths for advancement, they're pretty thin. They're pretty competitive. In order to, if you're a 35 or 40-year-old employee and you want to have a couple paths open to you for your career advancement for the next 20 years of your career, or the next
Hmm.
25 years, or whenever you're planning to retire, if you want to have some more paths open to you, you're going to have to learn these presentation and communication skills.
I hear what you say, but can you
Uh,
give me a more solid example of, for example,
yeah.
why my
So
options should be limited?
so let's say that your company has this bridge project, and let's say that, for example, there are positions for three people who are 60 years old and have decades of experience building bridges.
Hmm.
But there are probably that company is probably going to have three times as many positions available for a 60-year-old who knows how to get the bridge project in the first place, and that requires the technical skills. When you're
Hmm.
or that I'm sorry, that's not doesn't require the technical skills. It requires the communication and presentation skills, because in order for that company to get that bridge project on which it uses to employ the 60-year-old engineer with technical skills, in
Hmm.
order to get that bridge project, the company had to sit in front of a potential customer and use presentation and communication skills to beat out the other companies that can build bridges and to get that project. So you might be one of the lucky six who is 60 years old and gets to work on that bridge project because of your technical skills. But the reason the company has that bridge project is because somebody had the presentation and communication skills to sit in front of the potential customer and get that project in the first place. And the number of positions, as you rise up in the organization, the number of positions that are available grows significantly for the people who are able to sell the projects, the people who deliver the technical skills. The routes that they have for advancement are very limited, extremely limited. Once you get 35 years old, if you don't have the team management or the communication or the presentation or the customer facing or the team managing skills, the communication skills,
Hmm.
then your career is going to pretty much plateau, or at least your chances of advancement will be severely and significantly diminished.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
Oh,
I agree with what you're putting out there.
okay.
So, what would your response be, for example, to this person who claims that, well, it's not something I need, it's not something that is useful for me?
My response would be, in 5 years, do you want to be doing the exact same? Aren't you
Well,
going to
that
get
sounds,
bored?
yeah,
Pardon me?
that sounds scary. Yeah.
Yeah. And aren't you going to get bored? Isn't your spouse going to leave you because you at age 35 have plateaued and you're not going anywhere anymore? You're stuck. And the dream that you sold your spouse is flatlined now. Your plans to send your kids to a private college. That's gone now too. You're 35. You have 30 more years before retirement, and your career has plateaued. If you want to continue moving up, there are some chances that you could leverage your technical skills to do it, but the chances are really thin. And if you don't learn these technical skills, sometimes known as soft skills, but they're not really soft anymore. They're soft when you're 25 to 35 years old. After
Mm-hmm.
35, they're not soft anymore because they're money in the bank.
They're pretty much mandatory skills, I understand.
Yeah.
I don't know if we will have the time for pivoting into what I'm going to say today, but maybe we'll talk about it in a future episode. I wonder how much of that remark that the person makes, saying that, well, I don't need those skills, I wonder how much of it is based on actual fear of putting yourself out there.
I don't
Because it's
know.
not a small task.
Yeah, it's not a small task. I don't know how much of that comment is based on fear. But there is, historically, it's perfectly understandable why somebody would believe this. Because for your entire career, let's say that your career started at 22 after graduation. Let's say you went straight into work in this industry. So you started at 22 and now you're 32 or 35 years old. Let's say, for the sake of simple math, let's say you're 32. So you've had 10 years of reinforcement that technical skills are all you need for an advancement. If you have technical skills and if you keep improving those technical skills, your career is going to advance. And that's absolutely true in that age range. There's no getting around it.
Mm-hmm.
Between the ages of 22 and 32 or 35, between the ages of 22 and 32, technical skills are all you need to keep advancing in your career.
Okay. So next time I find myself in a similar situation, I'm going to remember what you said and ask them where I mean, it's a very cliche, I think, HR question, but I will simply ask them, where do you see yourself in 5
Yeah.
years?
They're going to say, what is this, an interview? Are you from HR? I thought you were a presentation trainer. What are you, from HR?
Yeah. Well, I'm happy I picked your mind. You had some really solid arguments there. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. So I'll talk to you next week then.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to The White Rabbit with Matt Krause and Alper Rosanes. You can subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, iTunes, or through your favorite feed.